Welcome to episode 14 of Shane Talks. This week's episode is called Always Be My Affleck. And Jason and I are about to dive into the career of Mr. Ben Affleck. But before we do that, if you've been listening recently, you know that a lot of our episodes have been sponsored by Sun King over the past few weeks. I've still got some more Sun King beers to get through, but before that, I'm taking a break from Sun King this week because I'm in the middle of a celebration, and I'm celebrating with Polliners. And what am I celebrating? I'm celebrating the fact that my German football club, Bayern Munich, did something called winning the treble. Winning the treble means that they finished the top of their table in the German Bundesliga. They were number 1 out of 18 teams. They won the German Cup, which is a competition for all the soccer clubs in Germany. And third, this past Sunday, they won the UEFA Champions League, which is the highest competition in all of Europe. Winning these 3 things, it was only the 8th time it's ever been done in history, so it's kind of a big deal when it happens. So myself and my fellow Bayern Munich fans have been celebrating all week, and I'm going to keep that up tonight by drinking Polliners on the show. So we'll get back to Sun King next week. Until then, I'm going to cheers everybody while I get ready to introduce Mr. Mayor. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr. Jason L. Mayer. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good.
Good.
How are you tonight, Shane?
I'm awesome. I'm drinking some Polliners. Just sitting here thinking about Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Obviously, this episode's focused on Ben Affleck, but through our 25-plus year friendship, specifically the years of us making movies, I very much feel like sometimes we've been compared to Ben and Matt. Obviously, I will give you the Matt Damon. You are very much grounded. You've had your marriage. You have a solid life that you keep out of the media. You kind of you're there, you do your job, and everybody likes you. At the same time, I could put myself kind of in the Ben Affleck category where I've had failed marriages, I've got alcoholism, and I've had a lot of negative press in things I've done in my life. So,
do you really have negative press? Maybe
Sure.
It's just negative interactions.
Negative Facebook, I don't know.
There we go.
Yeah, it is what it is. But so anyway, maybe that's why I've always kind of gravitated towards Ben Affleck. Maybe that's where my man crush on him has come from. But definitely, for at least the last 20 years, Ben Affleck has been one of my favorite actors. And a guy that I dig on all the behind-the-scenes stuff I've ever watched of his. This episode the majority will be about his acting roles, excluding all television roles. I didn't address any of those. But let's, top of the show, let's just address his directing, because he's only directed 4 things. The poll that I put up on Shane Talks Facebook, The Town overwhelmingly destroyed everything else. It had 21 votes. And while I agree that The Town is a phenomenal movie, my personal favorite came in second, and that's Gone Baby Gone. I really enjoy the detective aspect of Gone Baby Gone. So that's why I like it just a little, like slightly better than The Town. Like, I love The Town also. Tied with Gone Baby Gone, Argo got the same number of votes, which I don't understand because I wasn't really a fan of Argo. The movie was okay, but there was nothing that made me think that it was a really amazing film.
And you know what's weird is I remember when we were watching it that I thought like 95% of that movie was really, really good.
Sure.
And then there's that sequence on the runway where they're like leaving and like the government's chasing it after the plane while it's like trying to take off.
Yeah.
And to find out later on that they just dramatized that literally for the movie, which makes sense. But I remember feeling like it felt forced at the end of the movie.
Well, and of course I ruined it for myself because literally like 2 days before we watched it, I watched the documentary about what happened like to the real group of people. So
but
of
you
course,
do this every time. You sit there and you have to read, or you have to watch, or you have to do something, so you absolutely know what's going to happen beforehand. You can't just go into a movie that's a biopic and just be like, I have no clue. I remember my brother Michael and I went and saw Apollo 13, and afterwards he looked at me and he goes, I didn't ever know how that story ended. And I was like, really? Even I knew the ending of that one.
Sure.
He was like, no, I seriously did not know how that was ending. I didn't know if they died or not, and that was awesome to not know and watch the film. And so, yeah, I don't understand what your obsession with having to know before we watch the movie and not just take the time to learn about it afterwards.
Well, because
I'd rather not be spoiled.
Yeah, but it's just like reading the book before you see a movie or something. Like, I want to know the real story before I go see a Hollywood version of it that's over dramatized, that makes up a bunch of lies and stuff. Like, I want to know where it really came from, where it was really based on.
No, I think it's just your incessant need to like always be in the know, and then that way when I get to watch a movie with you, I get to hear what's the matter, Shane? That's not what really happened. Of course not. It's a movie.
I'm not going to argue that. But what I will tell you is that Live by Night got 0 votes because apparently nobody liked Live by Night.
You know what? And that's not even a directing fault by Ben Affleck. Like, I don't think that the movie was badly directed. I think its script was bad.
Yeah.
And I think the pacing of it was bad.
It was too slow when it was slow, and it was really boring when it was boring.
Yeah, and I remember a few of the action sequences were right on point. Like, it's not like I'd say like they were as great as The Town, but I thought like the shootout sequences that he had a few of those in there that were good.
We're cool. Yeah,
they're not something where I'd be like, oh, I need to watch that again.
But
sure. I definitely felt a malaise about that movie that I was not expecting, because of the fact that I had enjoyed like the other 2 3/4 or 7/8 of Argo or whatever. So it kind of slowed down and didn't work for us.
Really disappointing. Another Ben Affleck thing we're going to address real quick is anytime I make any post or say anything about Ben Affleck on Facebook, my buddy John's wife, Brittany, always gets to rub it in that she got to meet Ben Affleck. And she puts up this great picture. They were stationed in Germany for a couple of years. Their daughter was born over there. She was in the hospital right after her daughter was born. And Ben Affleck was over there promoting one of the Batman movies. I can't remember which one, or maybe it was Live by Night. He was over there promoting one of his films, and he came by the military base hospital, and she got to spend, I don't remember exactly how long, but she got to spend some time with him. She got a great picture with him. It's really awesome, and I'm always jealous of her when she puts up that picture. So, hopefully one day I'll get to be in that boat also.
Well, and something that we didn't really plan on talking about tonight, but I didn't think about it until after we started this episode, was his producing that he's done. Operation Green.
Oh, Project Greenlight.
Project Greenlight. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Like Battle of Shaker Heights.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
Very
then
enjoyable
on top of that,
movie.
Feast. I enjoy that for being the silly
Feast is ridiculous
80s, 90s horror ripoff that it is. What was the? Oh, geez, there was another one. Not the Battle of Shaker Heights. There was another one that was a drama.
Or no, Stolen Summer was season 1.
Great movie.
Yeah.
I won't say sorry, not great. Really good.
Good
entertaining.
For any movie. Good for its production value and budget and everything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I thought that was a really cool idea for Ben and Matt to work together on and to do as something kind of cool to give back to independent films. So. And
Project Greenlight introduced me to Chris Moore, who I idolized for a lot of years while we were making films.
Used to idolize? I mean, I think you still do. But whatever.
Maybe a little bit. All right, so let's jump into Ben Affleck's first acting credit. His first acting credit, him and Matt Damon were uncredited extras in Field of Dreams. Now I have circled on the photo here. I doubt that's them, but I always pretend that that's them right under the Polaroid sign. When it goes to the Moonlight Graham screen and whatnot. So that's not technically them, but I'm pretending it's them right there. So
why is that something you bring up? Like, there's no way you know that it's them. It's Fenway Park. It's not like something that you can easily pick out anybody in. So
No, but Ben I believe has said that them going to that screening or to that filming night is what gave them the passion to decide to try to go be in Hollywood. So I want to make sure that I credit them for being in that movie. Also, I love
It
that
has
movie.
nothing to do with the fact that it's one of your favorite movies of all time.
Exactly. So his first real screen time acting role that you see his face was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a Joss
For
Whedon
like
movie.
10 seconds.
Yeah, he gets to be the douchebag basketball guy on the other team.
But I don't even remember him being a d-bag. He literally just hands a basketball to the vampire. I can't even blame him for if he is a d-bag. I don't know how you sense that.
It's the scowl on his face.
Sure. Okay.
So probably his first real big acting role that mattered was School Ties with him, Matt Damon, and Brendan Fraser. And
Never watched that movie.
We got a topless Ben Affleck in that movie, so that's a good thing. You've never watched School Ties?
No, I have never watched School Ties.
School Ties is super dramatic. You gotta emotionally prepare yourself for bullying and private school douchebaggery.
I know what the subject matter is somewhat.
Sure.
But I've never had an inkling to see it. And which is weird because of the fact that it's got Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Brendan Fraser.
Yep.
All three guys that I enjoy watching whenever they're doing their thing. So
yeah, I highly suggest it sometime just for a one-time view. It's not something you're ever gonna go, I want to watch this all the time, but it is a powerful movie. Next up, he got to be another douchebag in Dazed and Confused.
That movie. He's hilarious in that movie. He's got a very small part in that one as well.
Very small. So. It did get 3 votes on the poll. 3 people liked him in that role. Next up is an indie film that he did, where he wore a lot of cut-off shirts, showed off his, at that time, only one tattoo that he had. It was called Glory Days. Him and Alyssa Milano and French Stewart. I know I watched it back in the day, late 90s, when I was super into those artsy movies that he was doing, but I don't really remember much about the movie. So I really got nothing to say. You never saw it?
Never saw it.
Yeah, but we do get a beautiful topless Ben Affleck in the movie. Next up, he did Kevin Smith's Mallrats. Shannon Hamilton, he was a complete douchebag again. Maybe I just associate a lot of his early roles with him just being douchebags, because a lot of them were.
Yeah, I can see that maybe.
So
come on, man. Call me Joey. Call me Tommy. Ben Affleck was perfect in that role. It worked really well for him. Oh, come on. You're telling me you wouldn't hit that?
So, yeah, he was really cool, especially the scene where he beats up Brody. I thought that was a really good dialogue between the two of them, him constantly punching him in the stomach.
You mean in the backs of Volkswagen?
Great performance by him in Mallrats. And that led to another Kevin Smith movie. My all-time favorite role he's ever done is Holden McNeil from Chasing Amy. I literally think every scene he is in this movie is perfect. This possibly is the movie that made me fall in love with him. This and Armageddon are kind of tied, but his character in this movie, I so just love the character, and I think he plays it perfect.
No, this is Kevin Smith at the height of his powers, in my opinion.
I agree.
This is his definitely Kevin Smith's best movie for me, as far as how his writing works with the acting and the directing. Might not be my favorite Kevin Smith movie, but it's definitely his best.
Gotcha.
But he is fantastic in the movie, and then his the way he's delivering dialogue and the whole the pitch towards towards his best friend and his girlfriend at the end of the movie is that. And when he
that's 6 pages of dialogue that he just spews out flawlessly.
And I love that, and I love the scene in the rain. Both of those, they're gut punchers, man. Like they're the one of those ones where you're like, you feel him.
Well, and
you feel him as a character so
the
harsh.
scene in the rain specifically has very few cuts in it. It's a lot of long shots of them just talking back and forth, and it's just like you feel that emotion in that, and with there being no cuts in that.
Yeah, perfect. Like I'm very glad that that Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith had each other for that film.
For sure.
It worked great.
Shannon Hamilton previously had 9 votes. It was one of the higher ones. Holden McNeil had 17. He was one of the ones near the top. I also forgot to mention that Glory Days. So when I put the poll up originally, I tried to remember every single Ben Affleck role that I could. I think I came up with around 37 of them just on the top of my head. There are some that I forgot. Glory Days was one that I did forget. My buddy Jay had to remind me about that one. But yeah, so Mallrats, Shannon Hamilton got 9 votes. Holden McNeil got 17 votes. This next movie only ended up with 1 vote, and that's a movie called Going All the Way.
Have you seen that movie?
I have seen this movie.
Here's my boring.
Going All the Way. You think was boring?
That's the one from Indy, right?
Like, yeah,
that's the one that was shot here in Indianapolis.
It was shot here in Indianapolis. It was shot this week.
Ripple.
It was shot in Broad Ripple. It was also shot at the Red Key Tavern, where the writer of the book that it's based on, I don't know how much of the movie how much of the book he wrote in the Red Key Tavern, but he specifically wrote the Red Key Tavern into the book because that's where he drank at in like the 50s and 60s and stuff like that, about when the time period was being written and when the book was being written. Unfortunately, in this last week, I have kind of become obsessed over this movie because of the fact that I found out that, like, I always knew it was filmed in Indy, and I always knew that there was a bar in it. I never knew that bar was the Red Key Tavern. That's literally a bar that's like 2 miles away from my house. It's a bar that I've drank at a lot of times in my life. They just 2 weeks ago had an event with the author at the Red Key Tavern because this is like the 50th anniversary of the book. And he was signing copies of the book at the Red Key Tavern. So I'm really sad that I missed that because I would have definitely paid to go get an autographed copy of the book. I had the VHS tape that I'm pretty sure I got from Zach at VH1 Video back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I just I threw away almost all of my VHS tapes within the last 5 years. So I know for a fact I don't have it anymore. So this week I looked for it online to watch anywhere. It's not available anywhere to watch online. And Amazon has 1 DVD of it for sale for $99. So yesterday, I spent about 4 hours of my day driving to every half-price books, every disc replay, the Exchange in Castleton, thinking one of these places would have a used copy of this DVD, and I struck out completely. So I haven't watched this movie in probably 20 years. I remember liking it a lot when I watched it, but again, it could be the romanticizing of Indianapolis, Ben Affleck. It's an indie film. Like, I was probably at the right time when I watched it and liked it back then. But I'm obsessed with finding a way to get a hold of it now. So that's my future goal. And Ben Affleck is topless in this movie also. So I mean, I can't wait to watch it again. It only got 1 vote, so pretty much I don't think anybody on the planet other than me has seen it. Or, well, I mean, I guess you said you were bored with it. Did I make you watch it? Why did you watch it?
No, I want to say everybody talked about it when I was working at Castleton Arts.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Dion had a copy at her house, so like I just went over and hung out with her and watched the movie, and just was totally.
I'll be hitting up Dion as soon as this is done being recorded. Yeah. So next up, one of the higher votes. This got 18 votes on the poll. The film written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. He plays Chucky, Good Will Hunting. And he is flawless in this movie. My favorite scene is the scene near the end of the movie where he's like,
absolutely,
if you're still living here in 10 fucking years, I'll fucking kill you. And like, he's just like, you have something that nobody else has. You need to fucking go do something with it. Like, just that conversation between the two of them is perfect. He is so good in that scene.
Yeah, and retainer. But I mean,
My boy's wicked smart.
That last sequence is just, yeah, is so good.
Such a good friendship thing where he's just like that was one of those early times where I like realized that like friends talk to each other like that. Like just yeah, it's so good between the two of them.
And you know, they have this whole, we grew up together, so we're ride or die essentially, and I love the scenes when they go to the bar.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, just all around fantastic movie. Like
he's just such a good supporting character.
And they apparently had some kind of ghost writer to help them write their script and flesh it out from what it was to what it became. That's one of those. But Weinstein didn't want to put the ghost writer as a writer on it so that Ben and Matt could get their publicity for this, and it's like, I really don't care. Yeah, like, yeah, good. Sure, if they had a third person who was just sticking around with them and helped them write it and refine their script, that's fine. Like, that's what Hollywood does anyway. Sure. It's not like this is something new and different.
Not at all.
But yeah, like just and like the late Robin Williams in that movie, like he's just
perfect.
Like, oh man, as far as like gut wrenching films, it's not something like I want to watch very often. But when I do sit down and I end up watching it, like it has my attention.
Sure.
And I'm not going anywhere until I'm done watching even if I dial in the middle of that movie, I'm watching it to the end every time.
It's so good. The next movie, his next role was made famous by Kevin Smith more than the actual movie, but that was when he was in Phantoms with Rose McGowan and the other dude from Scream.
Liev Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber, thank you. I'm one of the few people that I actually really enjoy Phantoms. Like, I think it's a really creepy movie overall. I don't think a lot of people enjoyed the alien aspect of it. But there's a lot of scenes in that movie that I find really creepy. It is kind of like out of left field sci-fi in the third act, but I don't mind it. It was always one that it was like kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I enjoyed it. How do you feel about it?
Based on the book by Dean Koontz.
Yep.
My brother David, when he was a movie theater manager, used to trade movie tickets for, well, heck, I don't even know if I don't think they exist anymore, for rentals at Hollywood Video.
Oh.
So, so he used to give the people access to the movie theater, and you'd get all these free movies to rent whenever he wanted to. And one of the things that the guy at the manager at that Hollywood Video used to do was he used to also give David tons of screener copies.
Nice.
And I remember David having this movie Phantoms, and I kept looking at it and going, maybe I'll watch it at some point in time, and I never did, and still to this day have never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh wow!
I've even looked for it recently on some kind of streaming platform or whatever, and it's probably because it's a Weinstein product or something that I can't get a hold of it very easily. So
yeah, that really sucks that a lot of their product is in limbo right now while it's being sold.
Yeah, so I've never seen it, but I'd be willing to watch it if I ever get the chance. So
I will keep that in mind. Again, this was one I know I owned the VHS tape of. I don't believe I own anything else of it. His next movie, probably also one of the reasons I fell in love with this guy. In 1998, he did Armageddon, and he's amazing in Armageddon. His scene with Liv Tyler before they leave with the animal crackers, to this day, is one of, like, the fact that, like, that dialogue is on the soundtrack, so anytime I was listening to the soundtrack, I got to hear him do his animal crackers bit before, like, man, he is so good in this movie.
One of my favorite things is when he gets separated, when the Freedom and Independence get separated from each other, and then, like, it's him and
the Russian.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what Michael Clark Duncan's name was.
Rockhound? No,
that's
that's Buscemi.
Yeah.
Bear.
There, yeah, like when they're trying to get back to everybody, and like he's like he has to shoot the gun through the wall of the space shuttle so that he can get through.
Yeah.
I don't know, that scene always sticks in my head.
Have you ever heard of Evel Knievel?
Lots of fun, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it's mindless fun. It's nothing too crazy about it.
It's a Michael Bay summer blockbuster.
And it's like one of the last movies that Michael Bay directed that I really enjoy and can love to watch over and over again.
Agreed.
Along with Bad Boys and
The Rock.
The Rock, yeah. Like,
and
there's
his,
like 3
his
movies
Meatloaf video.
Well, yeah, but I don't care about that. So like, but yeah, like.
So AJ Frost got 12 votes, so he was kind of higher up in the middle of the pack. His next movie is one that his next 2 movies are ones you had to remind me of. First being Shakespeare in Love.
And you know what's weird? Small, minuscule part.
Sure.
And he's great in it. And like, it's just like this swarmy, like, I'm gonna charm the pants off of everybody, like, and I need to be the star. And it just works. And yeah, he's so smooth in that film.
Yeah, he's very enjoyable. You were the only vote for that one. You were also the only vote for the bartender in 200 Cigarettes, which is a hilarious scene. I can't believe I forgot that. Probably because every time I think about that movie, I only think of Casey Affleck in it. But as soon as you put that up there, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that scene where he's giving the chick drinks.
Yeah, I totally don't care for the movie overall. It's just blah to me.
It's blah.
But yeah, his silliness in that film works for me.
Yeah, he was pretty awesome in that. You were the only vote for that one. I would have voted for it if I had voted any. Next movie only got 1 vote also, and that was Forces of Nature, which is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. Like, I rewatched it last year. It's a 99 film. I enjoy it, but I don't think it's great. I really, really like Sandra Bullock's character in the movie, and I think he does a good job playing off of her.
I know I've seen it.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I've seen it since the theater, and I don't remember anything about it except for the poster.
Gotcha.
Like, that's the only thing I can remember, so.
Yeah, they get stranded. They have to travel across country together. He's trying to get to his wedding. She's trying to show him not to be so uptight. They have moments, and then they both arrive at his wedding. And I won't spoil it like I was about to. The next...
Oh, wait, it's a rom-com.
It is a rom-com.
Imagine what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like watching a Hallmark movie.
The next movie got the most votes. It hit 21 votes. Of the people who voted, it was their favorite Ben Affleck role, and that was Bartleby in Dogma. I wouldn't say that's my favorite role he's ever done. I thought he was pretty good in that role, but it's also one of my, like, it's one of my Kevin Smith movies. Like, I don't dislike it, but I also just, like...
It's amazing. It's amazing to me that so many people love Dogma.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
And being a Kevin Smith fan and enjoying the movies that he's made, I didn't watch it again until recently. I know that I watched it 2 or 3 times when we were watching it before it got released.
Sure.
Because we saw it at Castleton Arts.
Yep.
But I also know that, like, I think I watched it once when it hit home video when I bought it, and then I didn't watch it again until, like, while we're in quarantine. I know I watched it since then. It's a good movie, and I like his Bartleby, but it doesn't do anything to, like, steal the show for me.
Agreed.
I think Matt Damon's Loki is way more, like... Interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I think he's way more interesting than Ben Affleck's character. So
I agree with that.
Because at least he has remorse and he's got more thought, and I don't know. He's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
I definitely am kind of surprised that this is the number one
votes for everybody for Ben Affleck was Bartleby and Dogma. I as well was surprised. Next up, got 6 votes. It's one of my favorite roles of his, even though he's on screen for, I think, a total of 5 minutes in the entire movie. he's the most memorable part of Boiler Room.
Yeah.
Do you? I was about to say, do you remember him in Boiler Room? Like his speech that he gives about being a millionaire is really like, I don't think I've seen Boiler Room in a long time, and it's the biggest thing I remember from that movie is his speech.
You know what's weird is like that's another movie that can just pull me right in. Like if it's on,
sure,
and no matter what's time, no matter what part of the movie it is, like I end up usually sitting down and watching the rest of it. He is really good in it, but like you said, he's got that whole monologue,
yep,
and then he has like a minute besides that in the whole movie?
There's like a party scene at a house that he's in where they're like playing
he's
video
just chilling
games
on
or
the
something.
couch.
Yeah. And that's about it. The thing that I do find interesting about this role is Jim Young, the character that he plays. Boiler Room is based on the same book that Wolf of Wall Street is based on. So his character is the same character that Leonardo DiCaprio plays in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, wow.
Jim Young, the character he plays, they focused more on the people that were working for, like, it would be the characters that worked for Leonardo DiCaprio, and then like Leonardo DiCaprio just came in and gave one big speech and then like left the movie. Like, so Ben Affleck and Leonardo DiCaprio played the same character, and personally I prefer Ben Affleck's performance. But yeah, so Jim Young is based on the same character that Leonardo DiCaprio played in Wolf of Wall Street, whereas Wolf of Wall Street is a documentary about that guy. Boiler Room is more the documentary about the people that, not documentary, the film about the people that worked for him.
That's kind of cool to know that aspect of it now. But yeah, like I remember watching the trailer for Boiler Room, and they use a huge chunk of his speech.
Yep.
And so like if I'm remembering correctly, both you and I were like, "Oh yeah, let's watch this movie. It's got Ben Affleck in it." And then like we're watching it, and we're like, "Where's Ben?" And then he shows up, and you're like, "Oh, cool, he's gonna be a part of the movie now." And then it's like, where'd he go?
Not so much. Yep. So his next movie was one that gets panned a lot. I won't say it's a good movie. Like, it's an okay movie. Like, I don't hate it, but it's Reindeer Games.
Oh, I hate that movie.
Do you really hate it?
Bad. So bad.
Well,
Gary Sinise, Charlize Theron, and like I did not like it. It's just so cookie cutter crap. Like that should be made up for like USA Up All Night, man. Like it should not have gotten the talent that it did to make it.
See, I didn't hate it that much.
I put it in the same category as like Long Kiss Goodnight, except Long Kiss Goodnight, you don't mind that they decided to be very ridiculous with their movie.
Sure.
This one, it bugged me the whole time. I haven't seen it since the theater. Yeah, I remember his like best friend I don't know, whoever betrays him.
Yeah.
Was also in Con Air. He's like the undercover cop and
the DA guy. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, like the entire time I was just like, oh, I bet you this is gonna. Oh, yep, there it is. That's where.
Yeah, it was just one of those like you said, cookie cutter '90s action movies. Like, I guess I just had really low expectations for it, so I was kind of entertained, or I was starstruck by Ben. I don't know. He wears a tank top and shows off his new tattoo. He got his cross tattoo before this movie, so like, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
You have so many tattoos, Shane.
His next film got 0 votes, and rightfully so, because this is one of his roles that's kind of weird to me. The movie was Bounce with him and Gwyneth Paltrow, where he gives his plane ticket to a guy, and then the plane crashes and everybody on board dies.
And they think it's him who died, but it's not him, and then he hooks up with Gwyneth Paltrow, even though it was her husband.
It was her husband. Her husband was trying to get home to her early for like Christmas or something, I think. But like, so he finds out. He either knew the guy's name or finds out the guy's name or whatever, and then he wants to go tell her like that he's sorry that it's my fault he died. Like, I gave him my ticket he wasn't even supposed to be on that plane. And then he decides not to, and he decides he wants to fall in love with her instead. And it turns into a really dumb romantic comedy, in my opinion, that I just thought was
You say
terrible
rom-com, and I felt like that
or
whole movie
drama.
was super dark.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
not only that, it felt like we had that whole pocket of movies right around this time where like Crash and
Sure.
like you had all these dark movies where everybody's interwoven and like yeah, I don't know. I went on a date with somebody to go see that movie, and that relationship didn't last much longer. I'll blame the film because I'll
Yeah,
say
you
that
should.
it was
Because that
totally the fault of the film.
movie
So
was not very good at all. So his next film after that, he followed it up with another blockbuster that I think is garbage, and that's Pearl Harbor. It did get 2 votes, but I think the movie is terrible, and I love Josh Hartnett also. Like I should have liked this movie,
dude,
and
this
I hate
whole
it.
the whole cast of this movie is phenomenal. And
Yep,
Kate Beckinsale,
yep.
I don't know if she's ever looked hotter than when she's trying to be dressed up in a 1950s or 1940s look to her. She's absolutely gorgeous. Now you're his father. Like
Yeah,
no, it
no,
doesn't
it
work.
doesn't.
It doesn't work.
Movie's terrible. So his next film that he go
I
ahead.
will say though, the action sequences of bombing Pearl Harbor were awesome and
Sure.
incredible to see. And then I really like, even though the script of the movie is not so good, I really enjoy the end where like the sequence where they're like they get the bombers.
Okay.
They trash they like throw everything off the bombers, all the armor plating, all the stuff, so that they can fly a further distance and
Gotcha.
drop the bombs on
Yeah.
Japan. Yeah, they're
Japan.
dropping them on Japan. I really like that sequence at the end of it, but like that's it. There's
Yeah.
the war sequence where they bomb Pearl Harbor and all of the dialogue and everything else is just crap.
Agreed.
Amy King's in that movie. She's smoking hot in that film. Like, Michael Bay knows what he's doing.
His next movie, he had 2 roles in, and they were 2 of the higher voted ones. First up, in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, he played himself, which got 15 votes. And then he also played Holden McNeil again from Chasing Amy, and that got 18 votes. So I'm kind of confused how this one got more votes than his role in Chasing Amy when he's in like one scene here and it's a big joke, as opposed to his amazing dramatic performance in Chasing Amy from start to finish. But okay.
I can see your point with that, definitely. Like.
Which do you like better between him being Holden and him being himself in this movie? Which do you prefer?
Totally himself. Because he's just what's fun for me with Ben Affleck is the fact that when he is being silly and stupid, there's hardly anybody else I want to watch on screen. Like, man, he is so slapstick when when he's playing that the Chucky role again for Gus Van Sant, who's just sitting there counting his money. And he's like, oh no, Will, what are we gonna do?
I wasn't even with the hooker today.
Like his slapstick. One of the silly things to me is like I love his character in Surviving Christmas.
Yes,
and I know we'll get there eventually.
We will get there.
But I don't like just how silly and stupid he is. When he does that in a role, it goes so fun for me.
So his next movie was one that I forgot, and I was reminded by Chris Meek about it, and that would be Changing Lanes with him and Sam Jackson.
I know a lot of people who love this movie too. I just think it's fine.
I like the movie. I don't love it, but I like it. He was good. It's a very interesting character study about how dark. It's a very dark movie and how evil people will try to go to, like, they literally just spend the whole movie trying to be worse to each other to ruin each other's lives.
Yeah.
Not really something fun to watch, but I think him and Sam Jackson both did very good at what they were given. It's a weird movie.
It is.
It did get 3 votes. His next role, he is one of, I think, like 5 people now to play Jack Ryan. He was in Sum of All Fears, which was one of the, it could possibly be the worst Jack Ryan movie that's ever been made.
And I know some people who really like it.
I don't.
I think I thought it was very forgettable.
Yeah.
And Bridget Monahan plays his wife in this movie,
Yep.
and I remember, like, I was so pumped because I was like, it's got Ben Affleck, it's got Morgan Freeman, it's got Bridget Monahan. I was like, oh man, this is totally where, like, right up my alley. It's
Yep.
Jack Ryan. And then it's
I believe it was supposed to be like the new, like, launching off of a younger Jack Ryan franchise.
It was.
Never happened. And
Well,
then,
yeah, because it wasn't a good movie. And
Nope.
so if you don't make a good movie and people don't come watch it, they don't want to make a sequel.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't want to make a sequel.
So this next movie is one that Jay had to tell me about, and it honestly was one that I hadn't seen until this week. This
I
is a
have
movie.
not seen this.
This is a movie called The Third Wheel, with Luke Wilson and Denise Richards as the main characters, and Ben Affleck he's probably like supporting character number 2. He plays a coworker of theirs. Basically, Denise Richards and Luke Wilson go out on a date, so the majority of the movie takes place over one night while they're going out on a date. All of their coworkers are at work, and like Cabin in the Woods, they've got a board trying to figure out how long the date's gonna last and if they're gonna hold hands or if they're gonna kiss, or like they're all just betting on what's going on this first date. As soon as I finished the movie, I went to my wife and I said, "Hey, Jay suggested this Ben Affleck movie to me that I'd never seen before, and I really enjoyed it. I would like to watch it with you as like a date night movie some night, because it's late 90s cute, ridiculous fun. Like, characters get put in situations that are ridiculous, they get their way out of them. Half of it's not plausible, but like plot wise, I would say it's like up there with like Go. Like all the ridiculous stuff that happens in Go with those characters, like you just go with it because that's the story that they're telling you. This movie's a lot like that. Some really weird and bizarre stuff happens with the characters, but I really enjoyed this movie. I'm so happy that Jay recommended it, because if he hadn't said how much he liked it, I doubt I would have watched it, and we would have been 3 movies farther, like, when not talking about this movie at all. But I highly recommend this, man. Like, you and Letha sit down some night, just put it on. It's 95 minutes, I think. It's pretty quick. It's a decent story, and it's just cute. Like, 2 people enjoying their first date, and, like, even though everything's going wrong on the date, they're both still trying to make the best out of it. Granted, I'll say this movie proves Denise Richards has 0 acting talent. She's not good in the movie, but she's what you expect from her. But
Okay.
yeah, dude, this movie recommended by my friend Jay. I went out of my way to watch it this week, and it's now one of my like favorite 90s rom-com, like late 90s rom-coms. Like, I thought it was actually, I think it was like 2003 or something, but like of that time period. Like, highly recommend it, man. You and Letha should check it out. The next one, he went his first of many superhero roles, and we got him as Daredevil. And Daredevil's one of my favorite comic books characters, so I was excited for this. Movie didn't really live up to what I hoped for, but I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people did. I thought he was good in it.
I thought he was fine. For what they were given,
Yeah.
he's fine. Jennifer Gardner in those tight leather pants was more than fine. I remember thinking Colin Farrell was way ridiculous and over the top.
That's one of the worst parts of the movie.
And then Michael Clark Duncan, which is he got a lot of crap for being a black kingpin, but I honestly didn't care.
Yep, didn't bother me at all.
If that was what your complaint is about the movie, then you're really not paying attention to the film. The rest of it's just crap. and it's not well done. It's not well executed. It had a pretty kick-ass soundtrack.
It had a great soundtrack.
So I remember really enjoying the soundtrack and spinning that a lot in the early 2000s.
2004, 2003, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So I remember spinning the soundtrack a lot, but yeah, the movie's just blah.
Yeah, I didn't
very
hate
forgettable.
I think I went into it wanting to like it, so I kind of like make myself like it more than I probably really did. But
was that Favreau who played Happy?
Yes. Yep.
Or not Happy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Nelson and Murdoch.
Yes,
Foggy Nelson. Yeah.
Foggy. Thank you.
So that got 7 votes. The role he did after that got 0. And rightfully so, because it was Gigli. Pretty bad movie.
You know what's weird, man? Just like you say that and I defend this movie a tiny bit, and I only say a tiny bit, and because of the fact that if you listen to the dialogue in this movie, you can totally see why Kevin Smith wanted to be, why Ben Affleck wanted to be a part of this movie.
Sure.
Like, I think the script turned out better than the movie became.
I'll give you that.
And because, like, especially like his opening monologue, I love his opening monologue in this movie where he's in the laundromat and like beating up the dude.
Yep.
And he's like, and like some guy walks in to do his laundry and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like he's like screaming at the top of his lungs, but like he's got this huge monologue at the beginning of the movie and it works and he's awesome in it. The rest of the movie just doesn't hit a good mark, man.
And see, the weird thing is like I wasn't an anti-Ben Affleck thing because of my love for Ben Affleck, like I didn't care. Like that's who he's with, that's fine. So me going into Gigli, I felt like I had the most open mind possible, and I just didn't like the movie. Like, and I'll give you that the dialogue in it was good, but like there are plot points and twists that happen where I'm just like, this is the dumbest thing they could have done at this point. Like, why are they doing this? So my hate wasn't so much the Ben Affleck part of it. Like, I was a big supporter of Ben Affleck. It was just the story. We do get topless Ben Affleck in the closet when he's looking in the mirror. He shows off his new tree tattoo that he got on the other arm, and that's bizarre, but I think it was trying to cover up his little barbed wire, so he wanted to show off his new tattoo for this movie.
What's interesting to me about this film is I remember it had tons of negative press before it ever came out. Like, everybody was panning it. Then it came out and everybody was like, "Oh, it is that bad, it's horrible," and everything else. And I remember it being while I was at Clearwater, and I didn't watch it when it first came out, so I didn't QC it when it came out. But like when I knew we were gonna lose it, I made sure to watch it that week or whatever. Gotcha. And then like I watched it and I was like, and having all of the negative press and all the like Debbie Downers about it, like it was one of those moments where I think because of the fact that everybody hated it so much, that I was going in and I was going to be like, this is going to be really bad. And then I was like, I mean, on my 5 scale, it's probably like a 1.5 or a 2.
Gotcha.
But I mean, J-Lo looks so good in this movie.
I'll give you that.
I mean, just, yeah, she's wearing the proper clothes and everything. Like, she's just smoking hot in this film, so.
His next movie after that got 7 votes, and it is one that my buddy Garrett's been texting me about a lot this week because it's one of his apparent favorite Ben Affleck movies. It is available to watch online, so he made sure to let me know he watched it online this week, and that was Paycheck. Paycheck for me is so I'm a huge Philip K. Dick fan, so I've read a lot of the Philip K. Dick books. Paycheck was one that I read the book right before the movie came out because I do shit like that. And it made me... It was weird. It made me upset that they didn't follow the book very much at all, but at the same time, I did really enjoy the movie. It was one of the very few weird times where I was like, that's not how it happened. but I see what you're doing, so it's not that bad.
Is the book called Paycheck as well?
No, the book has a different name.
Oh, okay. So here we are with a movie that's inspired by a book, not really based on a book.
Oh,
And Shane's surprised that it doesn't follow it to a T.
I'm gonna look up real quick because it's gonna drive me crazy this whole episode if I can't remember what the name of the paycheck.
Yeah, like I mean, if you're not even writing like you're not even keeping the title.
No, I'm wrong. Paycheck was the name of the novel.
Okay.
So I thought it was different.
I never saw it.
Ben Affleck fights with a bow staff in this movie. Dude, this movie's worth your time. Aaron Eckhart's good. Uma Thurman's good. Ben Affleck fights with a bow staff in this movie. It's science fiction. Just remember that when you watch it. It's a science fiction movie, but it's not bad. It won't be a waste of your time if you're in a sci-fi movie. That got 7 votes. His next role after that got ruined by Gigli.
I will agree with that statement.
His next film was Jersey Girl,
and she's barely in the movie.
She's barely in the movie, and I know there's rumors that Kevin Smith cut her. Like, apparently she was supposed to be in like the first 30 minutes of the movie, but because of all the negative Gigli press, Kevin Smith cut her down to like the 3 minutes that she's in. Kevin Smith denies that, but I mean, who knows the truth behind any of that. Jersey Girl is one of the movies I love. Your comments about him being goofy, I think that plays into Jersey Girl very well. His Sweeney Todd scene at the end, like I feel like he plays that up very goofy and very well. Him and Liv Tyler just have some really good chemistry about two friends that always should have been more than friends, and
big surprise there, right?
Yeah,
I feel like their chemistry from Armageddon was undeniable, and then it looked very effortless for them to have that continued shared chemistry with this movie. I'm right there with you, man. This movie, I think, gets a bad rap for when it came out, more so than what the content of the movie is.
Yep.
I haven't watched it since being a dad, and I would imagine that it would hit me on a totally different level.
It might. I'll be interested to find out when you do that, how it makes you feel now.
Yeah, I remember being emotional when that sequence when he's talking to his daughter after when J-Lo passes in the movie.
Yeah.
When he's talking to her at his house or his dad's house or whatever the case may be.
And I'm pretty sure they live together.
Who?
Ben Affleck and George Carlin. I believe they live together in the movie.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if he's at George Carlin's house because of what's going on with his, like if the daughter was at George Carlin's house.
Gotcha.
Because she's like a little baby when he has like his moment of like his monologue moment talking about how he wants to be the best dad for her and stuff. I bet you that will hit me a lot different now.
Sure.
But it hit me hard when it was before I was a dad. So, yeah, dude, like this movie, and like I really like the sequence where he gets his groove back by pitching the town on why they need to fix the water main or whatever.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
It's a romantic drama, I guess is the way to go with it.
Sure.
I don't think of it and it's got comedic moments.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall just a very solid film.
Yep, a very good film that got a bad rap. I am glad it got 10 votes. It was one of the middle of the packs, but I'm glad it got votes. Next up is a movie that we've already talked about. It's one that I absolutely love. It's Surviving Christmas. I'm a big Christmas guy. I love Christmas. I love the fact that Ben Affleck made a Christmas movie. I don't care how bad it bombed. It had a great cast, in my opinion. It has a blah story, but Ben Affleck playing the ultimate Peter Pan character really just got me. It had everything that I wanted in life. So I absolutely love Surviving Christmas, and I think he is amazing in it. as a guy who hasn't gotten over his childhood and is rich enough to force people to help him relive his childhood.
I haven't seen this since the theater.
Oh, dude, watch it. It needs to become a Christmas staple. One of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten is our friend Chris Meek made a comment on this post that he watches Surviving Christmas every year, and I'm like, I am so happy to hear that. And he responded with, "Well, it's because of you that my family watches it every year." Like, that's a huge compliment to me. It needs to become part of your family's yearly. Man, you got some young kids. It might be not age appropriate for some of your young kids. But when they're 13, they need to see this movie.
I gotta tell you, man, like, there are so many movies that I like. I love Christmas, but I don't love it like you do. I don't love it like my wife does. Pretty much, I watch Serendipity. I watch Die Hard in the Christmas season at some point, most likely.
So
and that's pretty much it.
I know your wife loves Hallmark movies. Has she seen this movie?
I don't know.
Okay, it's my new mission to make sure that I get her a copy of it, so that if she hasn't seen it, she has, and we'll force you to watch it with her every year.
Okay.
So,
sounds good.
After that, this is another one I had never seen until yesterday. This is a 2006 movie called Man About Town. Have you ever seen this?
I have not.
It's Ben Affleck and Rebecca Romijn. I didn't dislike the movie, but what I will say about this movie is this movie has a hard time figuring out what it wants to be. It's kind of Jerry Maguire. It's kind of Jerry Maguire. Yeah, it's not good. It's kind of Jerry Maguire-like. It's kind of Swimming with the Sharks-like. Like, Ben Affleck plays a talent agent in Hollywood, so it immediately does all the tropes of here's how bad people try to be talent agents, wannabe Ari Gold type characters. But then Jerry Maguire, he starts taking a class, a self-reflection class that has him write a journal. And it doesn't do a good job of explaining to you why any of this is important until over halfway through the movie, where you get the backstory of Ben Affleck and all the people that run the talent agency he works at. Before, when they first got their start, they basically had a coup against the higher-ups of the talent agency they worked at. They stole all their secrets, and then they blackmailed them to not sue them for starting their own company. But Ben Affleck writes all this out in his journal as part of this college course that a course that he's taking, and then Bai Ling is in it, and she steals his journal, goes to the LA Times, and starts doing this whole piece about all the corruption in Ben Affleck's agency. So, and at the same time, Rebecca Romijn is sleeping with one of his clients. It just tries to do so many things, and I don't feel like it ever finds itself. And then it has some funny moments here and there that seem a little out of place, but then, the entire third act is kind of funny and, trying to wrap up all these stories in a comedic way. Again, I don't, hate the movie. I wasn't oh, this is terrible to watch. But I'm watching it going, what else are they going to do in this movie? It never really finds what it wants to be or what it wants to have a message as. It has a great cast. Gina Gershon, Adam Goldberg, Bai Ling, Jerry O'Connell, Cal Penn, John Cleese, and his dad is another subplot. His dad is played by Howard Hessman, who I absolutely love. But again, all of the stuff with his dad feels forced, and the other reason I should love this movie is it's told a completely non-linear. So when something becomes important, you don't know why him and his dad aren't really getting along. His dad has a medical condition, and so Ben Affleck and his wife are taking care of him and having him live at home with them. But there's a lot of conflict. You don't find out till halfway through the movie why there's that conflict. and that's like a huge dramatic subplot that you're like, wow, like that was kind of heavy that they threw that into this movie. So like it just never really finds it. It's tries to be funny, and then it tries to go dark, and then it tries to be a dramedy, and I just
So what you're saying is it seems like it was written by Jason and Shane.
that's very possible. So I don't recommend wasting your time with Man About Town. If you watch it, you're gonna go, like there's nothing special about it. Ben Affleck is Ben Affleck, and like Ben Affleck has moments that it's like, oh, this is when I like really loved you as Ben Affleck, but not enough to carry this weird movie.
Gotcha.
So, and that's disappointing. Yeah, it got 0 votes. I don't think anybody had ever heard of it. The next one got 5 votes. I had forgotten about it, and I'm so angry that I did. But his 1 minute of screen time in Clerks 2 with the handlebar mustache, you had to remind me about.
Oh, dude, he's fantastic.
He's hilarious for 1 minute.
Yeah, like
So.
you can tell, like it almost feels like knowing their relationship that Kevin Smith was like, dude, just show up. I just want you to do this one little bit. And I'd like, or maybe Ben Affleck just showed up to visit and be like, hey man, and then he was like, you've got to do this. Let's just put you in here right now to do this little thing. But yeah, he's very silly, and I love him for this.
Yeah, well. So. 4 other people that had a total of 5 votes agreed with you, and I'm sad I forgot about that. His next movie got 4 votes. It's one that I don't really care for the movie. He's fine in it, but he's also dead for half the movie, and that's Hollywoodland.
Oh. I remember
George Reeves
this
biopic?
this was like the resurgence of his career, kind of.
Okay.
There was a point in time where he just kind of fell out of favor. Maybe
probably because he did Man About Town.
No, I remember him, like a lot of people, like he just kind of stopped being the it boy.
Sure.
And I don't know if it was like his choice or what, but he decided to do this movie, and the movie is just kind of okay.
Yeah.
But his depiction, I mean, he put on the extra weight, and his like depiction of George Reeves, and to read the story about it afterwards, like, or at least I did a little bit of research after the movie, and
sure.
It's just a really sad thing.
And he was probably the only good thing in the movie was his acting.
I'd say Adrian Brody's acting was really good too, but for the most part, like, it's just not that good of a script, or at least it wasn't edited correctly. So
we got to see him in the Superman suit, which is kind of cool, because he had been in Daredevil, and now we got a second superhero of his. So kind of. But yeah, his next movie is he was part of a huge supporting cast. It got 0 votes, which kind of baffles me, because I know a lot of people that love Smoking Aces.
Not one of them.
Are you really not? Smoking Aces, I like Ryan Reynolds at that time. Like, Ben Affleck's not a very big part of the movie, but he's had a couple of scenes.
Yeah, and it just it feels very jumbled to me for that whole movie. Like, I wanted to like it because, Vinnie Jones is in it, and Ben Affleck and Ryan Reynolds, and it seemed like it should be a surefire hit, and it just did not work for me. So
understandable. Maybe.
And then they made Smoking Aces 2, didn't they?
Yeah, maybe. Probably direct to video. The next movie is one I forgot, and it sucks that I forgot it because it's my wife's favorite Ben Affleck movie, I think. But Brittany Petty reminded me of He's Just Not That Into You. Which, he's got a kind of... I liked seeing him with Jennifer Aniston. I think their scenes are fine together. But nothing really stood out about that movie to me. I mean, the movie itself as an overall movie is fine. His part of the movie just didn't really stand out very much.
I like who's the Jennifer chick who was like...
Yeah, Jennifer Goodwin.
Yes, thank you. Yep. Like, I love her character in this, and the naivete, and like the how quickly, like, the whole her and Justin Long
have great chemistry.
Dynamic is really good. Is this the one where Bradley Cooper is
Is
in it?
cheating on his wife with, or is cheating on Jennifer Connelly with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh my gosh, man!
Yeah.
Like, and this is one of those movies where you like, I don't know. I would imagine most red-blooded American men would have watched this movie and gone, "Oh, I totally could see why he would cheat on Jennifer Connelly with Scarlett Johansson." Like,
Yeah.
wow. She like they definitely dolled her up for the movie, and
Yep.
she's got just a sexiness about her. And not that
Yep.
she doesn't normally, but she hits it out of the ballpark with this movie. And like, dude, like, and there's some weird aspects to that movie because like when he finally admits to cheating on his wife to his wife, and she's just like, "Are you smoking again?" I think, or is something like she just totally compartmentalizes it and is like, whatever, I don't care that you slept with somebody else, but are you actually smoking again? Like, and it's just this weirdness, and it's a strange movie.
Agreed. So we have a run here of movies that I completely forgot about. I don't know why I blacked them out of my Ben Affleck life, but the next one that he did after this was State of Play, which was a remake of a British miniseries.
Never saw it. Or
Again,
I might have, but it was forgettable if I did see it.
yeah, he was Russell Crowe was a journalist. He was a senator, I think. The woman that worked for him throws herself in front of a train and dies, and then Russell Crowe's investigating if it was a murder or not.
Yeah.
Again, I made the mistake of watching the British series before I watched the movie, and I disliked the movie because of that. The next one I forgot was I didn't remember that he was in Extract. The
I totally forgot he was in that too.
Yeah, like once I looked that up and saw it, I was like, oh, I do remember that because he was like really weird and like a drug dealing pot smoker or whatever in the movie.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah, he's
that's
got
right. He's
the
like,
long hair and the beard,
doesn't he have
and
like a Rasta hat or something on?
I think
Like,
so. At one point, he gives him the drugs that convinces him to cheat on his girlfriend or whatever,
his wife,
or his wife. Yeah, like
because Kristen Wiig's his wife. Yeah,
so. Yeah, that's a pretty forgettable role in my opinion. Nothing really
he's funny
special
in
about
it.
it. He is hilarious. I had forgotten about the movie The Company Men, probably because I never saw it.
I don't remember this one.
I believe it's him and Chris Cooper, Kevin Costner, and Tommy Lee Jones. I think.
I definitely did not see this one.
Yeah, I didn't see either, so I really have no opinion or anything to say about it. Then we get to one of his absolute best roles ever. He directed himself. It already crushed everything for his best directing job. The Town is phenomenal.
Oh, dude.
Everything about The Town is good. Him and Jeremy Renner's chemistry, him and Rebecca Ferguson, or not Rebecca Ferguson, what is her name? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on her name. I feel really bad, but I don't want to sit on it. But him and Rachel.
It's
Rachel, Rebecca. It's
I'm
not
pulling
Rebecca.
it up.
It's not Rebecca Ferguson though.
No, it isn't. It's Hall.
Rebecca Hall. Thank you. Yes, him and Rebecca Hall. Their chemistry is great together. Man, the movie is good. The supporting cast is great. The final 30 minutes of the movie with the final heist and what his exit plan was, like he is really good in this movie.
Big surprise. First of all, it's a Ben Affleck movie, so I most likely am going to like it. Second of all, I personally think it's his best directing. I know you like Gone Baby Gone better. I think it's his best directing personally. I think it's his writing is right on point with this film. Dude, like I remember, like it takes place in Boston, me being a huge Boston nut, and living there for some time, it's just one of those things that was like a perfect storm for me. And then on top of that, like some of the choices he made when he would like you said, during the shootout at the end, during the final heist, like some of the choices he makes, and I love the Charlestown robbery
Oh
when they're
yeah.
all dressed up like nuns.
Yep.
Um, like yeah, if you have not seen The Town, I know a friend of ours called it a rip off of
Heat.
Heat.
Yeah. I
Which
disagree with that.
I mean, if you really are looking for similarities, you can find similarities in almost everything.
Sure.
If the fact that it's a bank heist movie compared to another bank heist movie.
Yep.
But like, I personally like this one a lot better than Heat. I know I'm weird like that, because I know a lot of people who love Heat and think it's like pretty much the perfect action film of all time.
Well, I mean, I can say this: I love Heat, and I think Heat is an amazing film. I also love this movie. Like, I don't see any reason why you can't love both of them. I think they're both flawless in what they did.
I just think Heat was I think Heat's down moments are way too down. Like, take too long. I think it lulls way too long. Whereas this one, it's like you do get some lulls every now and then, but they're really well paced.
I got you.
And then it just ramps back up, dude. Like, I now want to go watch The Town right now. I might pop that in before I go to bed tonight.
His acting in The Town got 17 votes, so it was one of near the top of his acting voting, and he rightfully deserves it because he is great in this movie. Specifically, the scene between him and John Hamm, like when they're talking to each other, I feel like it's just really good dialogue, and then they both handle that scene really well together. His next movie after that was him directing himself again. One we've already talked about. I was not a huge Argo fan. Argo's fine. Like, it's not that I hate Argo in any way. I just don't love it. I don't love it like a lot of people love it. Like, I like the filmmaking aspect of it and the fake undercover aspect of it, but like, I found myself very bored for a lot of it. And I didn't care for like the third act of it.
And me and you are very close in the feelings for this film, so no need to harp on that.
Yeah, it got 7 votes, so people like it. Another one that I forgot about, probably because it's a Terrence Malick film that I haven't seen, is called To the Wonder.
Nope.
Yeah.
Terrence Malick, I've watched you once. And once, I think like 1.5 times, and I'm never making that terrible choice again, so I'm good.
So I haven't seen it either. I don't really have anything to say about that. I also forgot he was in a movie called Runner Runner. And I think you and I watched this together because it's him and Justin Timberlake.
We did.
I forgot about this movie.
I think Gemma Arterton is in it
Sounds
too.
Right, yep.
I wanted to like it so much. Like, JT is a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Affleck, like, we're doing an entire episode about him for Pete's sake. But like, to me, like, there was nothing that should have kept this movie from being a good movie.
Yeah.
Except it's not good.
It's not. A decent premise that just didn't really play well. The script was not good for it. So very forgettable because, like I said, I forgot to put it on the voting, and I forgot about it until I looked up his IMDb stuff. After that, he did one of his more memorable roles recently. It got 13 votes, one of the more popular ones, and that's Gone Girl.
Never seen it.
You haven't seen it?
That's the David Fincher one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I meant to watch it. I recorded it off of like HBO or whatever so that I could queue it up whenever I wanted to, and then I just didn't.
I will say this: it's very good at throwing you curveballs in the movie.
It's a Fincher movie.
Yeah. I haven't read the book, so I don't know how true to the book it is. But I didn't.
You didn't read this one?
Didn't read this one. It takes you down a path of his missing wife, and then it throws you a curveball, and you're like, oh, okay. And then it throws you another curveball, and you're like, wait, what? And then it throws you another curveball, and you're like, this is starting to get ridiculous, but I'm still invested in it. I feel like it's a kind of good whodunit. Did he really do it? They point the finger at him a lot, and then you're really curious if he's actually responsible for her going missing. Because I like Dateline a lot, I feel like that's why I like this movie so much. I would recommend it. There's nothing fun or happy or joyous about it. So watch it when you're in a dark mood. Next up, we start a run of him playing Bruce Wayne in Batman, his third run at a superhero. I mean, the George Reeves Superman is in a biopic, but still, we got to see him in the Superman suit. Now we get to see him opposite Superman in Batman v Superman, where he's Batman. I hate this movie, so that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it. What are your feelings on him playing Bruce Wayne?
It's tough for me to say that he's not better than Christian Bale, man. Like, it's like he's really good as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Like, I really being such a fan of Ben Affleck's work. Like, when they named this, I was like, they hit it. Like, this is perfect. And like, so many people clowned me for it, and so many people thought I was crazy for thinking that he could play this role. And I think he hits it out of the park. Whether or not it's like a good, it's not the best. Zack Snyder is a very acquired taste.
Sure.
And I personally love Man of Steel. And I know you and I have that discussion, had that discussion many a times that you don't.
Nope.
But yeah, like, I love Man of Steel. I thought B versus S, or whatever you want to call this movie.
Yeah.
I thought that this was just okay, but Ben Affleck's Batman is by far the best part of this movie.
For sure. His scene where you see how they connect to each other, where you see him in the streets on the phone while he's watching Superman and Zod fight in the sky. Like, that's one of the few scenes I actually like in this movie. Like, Ben Affleck is like the only redeeming thing for me in this movie, because I don't even like him when he's Batman. Like, I like him when he's Bruce Wayne. I mean, anybody could have been Batman in this movie, and it wouldn't have changed the Like, I don't feel like it would have changed the Batman performance, But
then on top of that, you get like this, and my only complaint about this version of Batman is that it's closer to Frank Miller's Batman than it is to other renditions of him. And my problem with the Frank Miller Batman is the fact that he kills. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, there's like, in a more realistic, if you're looking at it in a more realistic light, like, Batman might make that distinction and might do that, but growing up with this idealistic, this holier than thou vision for superheroes.
Okay.
He's not an anti-hero. He is a superhero. But like, he is an anti-hero in the Frank Miller version and in this version, kind of, because it's like he has no problems killing people. He's got, like, he blows people up. He cuts like all sorts of stuff. Like, and it's somewhat disturbing.
Okay.
Even though if you can justify it to yourself, but like, for me, like, the Batman aspect shouldn't get there. But that being said, I still like I like the Christian Bale movie, 2 out of the 3 Christian Bale movies, more than I like any of the Batman versus Superman or Justice League. Yep. But I think Ben Affleck plays the character better than Christian Bale did.
Awesome. So, I had completely forgotten that he was also in Suicide Squad for 2 scenes. Now,
which apparently there was a ton more scenes in that movie that he was a part of that they just cut out, like, that they put them.
Because truth be told, I don't know if he was CGI'd into this movie or not, since, like, we don't really see him very much.
No. He was I remember them talking about him being on set and stuff like that. So
his next movie after his 2 minutes of screen time in Suicide Squad, another movie Jay had to remind me about because he says it's one of his favorites. That was The Accountant. And because Anna Kendrick is in this, I'm pissed off that I didn't remember this movie. The Accountant was all right. I like John Barenthal in this movie. I saw the ending coming 15 minutes into the movie, but that didn't hurt my enjoyment of the film. I don't know if they did a good job with the story and like how his accounting stuff was connecting to what he was doing when he was going off and killing people. But like, I mean, it still was enjoyable to watch But
absolutely, lots of fun.
yeah,
I like the ending, how they explain things
yep,
at the end to show you what the game plan for the whole movie essentially.
yeah.
And it's fun. It's not.
It's a very
It's
cat and
very.
mouse movie that like I
It
didn't
is,
catch the cat and mouse stuff until what you were talking about at the very end.
but it also like I like the fact that they made a main character in a movie who's autistic.
Yeah,
That's something that's kind of different and in a cool aspect of it. Ben Affleck does a really good job of finding the little mannerisms that like his character has because of the fact that he's autistic
sure.
and he operates on a different level. Um, and what was I gonna? Ah, ah.
Ah,
I'm trying to think of what I was gonna say. I can't remember. But
no worries.
um, but yeah, like the movie is executed very, very well.
For
Like,
sure. And it got 14 votes after Jay added it, so obviously one that a lot of people really enjoy, and
yeah,
justifiably so. We've already talked about Live by Night quite a bit, or I mean a little bit at the beginning, enough that I don't feel like we really need to talk about it anymore. Like he was fine in it, he directed himself fine. Some scenes are fine, but like nothing that stands out in that movie. It got 0 votes. After Live by Night, he went back to being Bruce Wayne again for Justice League, which I completely hated the movie. I I I've only ever watched it once. I don't even remember how much he's Bruce Wayne in the movie.
he's not Bruce Wayne a whole lot in the movie.
Okay.
What I do, I feel like Batman versus Superman and the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're seeing the next year, we're supposed to see the Schneider cut, right? So we're supposed to see a 4-hour mini series
Yep.
of Justice League movies.
Which the
Uh,
trailer for that actually got me excited. I know you hated it, but that got me watching that trailer for the Schneider cut got me more excited than ever thinking about watching this movie again.
and that's fine. I feel like the Schneider cut being 4 hours long is something that I wish they could do with Batman versus Superman too.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm guessing that, I mean, like even watching the extended edition of Batman versus Superman, um, I almost feel like they might have left more on the floor that they might have been trying to think of.
Okay.
And I wouldn't hate it if they would just make a BVS Justice League 7-8 hour miniseries
That'd
that
be
they just
interesting.
like, because sometimes movies aren't a good medium for what you're trying to tell.
Especially
And
when
if
it's
you're
a
trying to
grand
pack too much,
story.
yeah, when you're trying to pack too much into a small time frame, it just doesn't work sometimes.
See, personally, I felt like they were like at that time DC was rushing to catch up with the Avengers, and so
Absolutely.
they just forced this movie, and I feel
Yep.
like they just didn't do a good job with it. Like they rushed into trying to, like they'd already had Dawn of Justice to set this up, but I feel like because they didn't take their time establishing all these other characters and just threw them all into this, that it just was like blah. I
Absolutely.
really didn't like it. It did get 10 votes, so another Batman performance by him. Like a lot of people liked it. Next up was a Netflix movie that he did that I actually really enjoyed the movie. I feel like it drug out a little too long, but it was Triple Frontier. Um, the entire assault on the drug
House.
house was really well done. A great action sequence, like John Wick level good gunplay in that scene, and then it unfortunately just like really slowed down and kept slowing down for the rest of the movie. Like they were on the run, and there was a few shootouts here and there, but like I feel like they peaked really early and then like just didn't give me much to finish the movie. So
Absolutely.
I love the cast. I thought Ben Affleck was good, with all those guys, but it just wasn't. It wasn't an amazing movie.
Yep.
Uh,
Hit the
it
nail
got
on the head, dude.
it got 1 vote. Next up is one of my favorite bits that he's been in. He has one scene in this movie. It is my favorite scene in the movie, and that's Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, where he comes back as Holden McNeil, and the entire scene with him and Amy and their surrogate daughter, and just the fact that it addresses friendship, it addresses fatherhood. Like, I mean, how does that hit you now? 20 years after you saw that character in Chasing Amy, like, you as a father now, does that scene hit you at all?
Absolutely. And to be completely honest, it's the best thing in the movie.
Oh yeah,
Overall,
100%.
that movie is not that good. I know some people enjoy it a lot. I was bored,
Gotcha.
and it felt very flat to me. Maybe I've outgrown Jay and Silent Bob. I don't know. I would hate to think that, because I can still laugh at them in all the other all the other movies they're in. I just something didn't feel right for me with Reboot. But yes, the best part of that movie is Ben Affleck's scene at the end.
Yeah.
So
it is absolutely amazing. It's my favorite scene in that entire movie as well. He did another Netflix movie that I haven't seen. It was called The Last Thing He Wanted.
Apparently it's horrible.
Is it? Yeah, I never made time
really
to watch
bad
it.
Reviews.
Which sucks, because it's got a decent cast with Anne Hathaway, Rosie Perez, and Willem Dafoe. But yeah, I just had no interest in, like, I watched the trailer and just was like, I don't care. Like, there's nothing that I care about watching that movie for. Then we get to his most recent theatrical release that happened right before COVID hit this year, and that was him in The Way Back, which makes me happy that one of my favorite films of all time is called The Way, Way Back, and now another one of my favorite films is just called The Way Back. And Ben Affleck in this movie is... he's perfect. Like, he's perfect in the character. Gavin O'Connor directed it, who, like, I've loved since he did Miracle, and he's done a lot of sports movies since then. I watched this movie with you, and I related to it on a like existential level. Like, I very much saw myself in this character, very very down on life. He has stuff that's happened that's made him sad. It's led him to alcoholism. He's trying to rebuild his life. He's trying to find, good things in it. And just that journey, how he keeps stumbling and going back to drinking. I related to it, and I absolutely love this movie, and I think he knocks it out of the park in his performance.
I don't know if it's acting for him. Like, it
probably isn't.
I mean, he might have had to learn the terminology for basketball coaching more so than anything, because, like, I like the movie, but it is one of those things that's, like, it hits too close to home for who I think Ben Affleck is.
Sure.
So watching it is, like, even more gut wrenching for me.
Yeah.
But it's a powerful movie. It's a really well done film, and but I don't know if I'll watch it again. Like,
see,
it's on sale. Like, I found the Blu-ray on sale for $8.99, and I almost bought it. And I was like, it comes with the digital copy too, so, like, I'll have the digital copy. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this again, because it's like, compared to most people, I try to be. I'm usually quite a happy person, so I tend to not enjoy going down dark paths when I don't have to. So, like, if it's a movie that's super dark, I might watch it the one time and really enjoy it. But, like, for instance, Seven. Like, I've never watched Seven since the theater.
Oh wow, I love that movie.
That movie messed me up so much when I watched it the first time. I don't know if I want to watch it again. But it's really good, and that's the way I feel about The Way Back. Is, like, it's really good, really well done. It's just so messed up. I don't know if I want to go on that journey again. So understandable.
So, of all the 50-some movies we've talked about, your top three that you said your three favorite Ben Affleck roles are Doug McRae from The Town, Chucky Sullivan from Good Will Hunting, and then Ben Affleck playing Ben Affleck in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
After I gave you this list of three, I've been thinking about it a lot. And one of the things that is interesting is you and I both would have picked Holden McNeil and from Chasing Amy.
Yep.
but I didn't want to double book,
Understandable.
essentially. But I was having a tough time choosing between that and Chucky anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about it, what cracks me up is I think Chucky is very much a Ben Affleck character.
All right.
Like there might not be much difference between the him and that character, because
at least not in the 90s.
Well, not only that, but it's like his first writing.
Yeah.
It's the first time he was writing, so you write what you know.
Yep.
And Ben Affleck and Jay and Silent Bob kind of is Chucky and Good Will Hunting.
Sure.
And like that's like the slapstick part of him that I love so much, when he is being so ridiculously silly. He is. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's like the perfect jawline or what, like just the ridiculous smile that he beams when he does. But like the applesauce bitch. Mm-hmm. and do we want to go through this again? Like it's just him being so silly and stupid. And then like the Dogma, or the Chucky thing with the retainer and everything else. It's very Ben Affleck, and I think I like seeing that aspect of him a lot. But like we talked about with The Town, Doug McCrae, like I think probably because he wrote it and he knew the character so well.
Sure.
He knocked it completely out of the park. I want to say Jeremy Renner was up for Best Supporting Actor that year.
I believe that.
But I don't think he was up for Best Actor, which I think was a crime, personally. Although, on a side note, I would have loved to have seen him play the Jeremy Renner character instead of Jeremy Renner.
Oh, interesting.
I think that could have been a very interesting thing.
Sure.
But yeah, if they would have switched roles, but he's awesome as Dougie. So
yeah. Good three. My three were Holden McNeil, specifically from Chasing Amy, but I also love the Holden McNeil in Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So that character kind of transcended 20 years for me. Jack Cunningham from the way back that I just went on a huge rant about. Absolutely love him in that film. I feel like he nailed it. And then Drew Latham from Surviving Christmas. I just absolutely love seeing Ben Affleck having fun, being ridiculously childish, immature, and very Peter Pan syndrome-like. So those are my three favorite roles that I've ever seen him in. Next up, we're gonna finish this episode with a quick little section. Potentially something we're gonna spin off into its own little 5-minute videos in the future. It's gonna be called What Was Watched This Week. And yesterday, Jason and I got together and we were able to view the New Mutants after 3 years of waiting. So, personally, I just thought it was okay. I liked it. I don't know if it lived up to the hype that I was expecting after 3 years. But it was fun. It was a cool story. There are a few good scares in it. I have to look at it as an origin story because I feel like they're definitely giving you a lot of the slow parts of the movie are trying to build up where these characters came from. Luckily, a lot of the flashbacks to their backstories were part of the scary moments in the movie. But overall, I feel like it works pretty well. I really enjoyed Magic, the character in it. What are your personal feelings on the movie?
I was just whelmed. No, I will agree with you. It was just okay. I usually rank mine on a 0 to 5 scale, and I'd probably give this like a 2.5 or a 3, which isn't a bad ranking in my opinion. No. It's just fine. I liked it better than 3 of the other X-Men movies that it was a part of.
Sure.
I like it better than The Last Stand. I like it better than Dark Phoenix, and I like it better than Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that.
There's a surprise character. There's a character who quasi shows up near the end of the movie that I really loved from my days of reading the X-Men comic books. That once that character's on screen, I was like, yes, like that's so cool.
Yeah.
So I really dig that aspect of it. I definitely believe you. I believe you're right on, like, this is an origin story. They were
Yeah,
planning on probably doing 2 or 3 movies,
for sure.
and it just got kind of caught in limbo.
Limbo. I see what you did there.
Um, but it was worth watching.
Yeah.
I liked watching it in the theater. I loved being back in the theater, being able to watch it again.
Yep.
And then I have a sneaky suspicion that the Gambit movie was going to be somewhat tied to this one as well.
Oh, interesting. I never thought about that.
So,
but I can see that.
But now that one's defunct and not going to happen,
yeah,
the way that they were imagining it anyway, I think that might have tied into it a little bit more and been an interesting spin on that. So
I'm happy to see it finally get released after 3 years. Like that's good. I'm glad they didn't have to go back and do reshoots like they talked about. I'm glad they just released, what they were originally planning to release before the Disney buyout, before all the other speed bumps that it hit. Like it's a fine movie. It's good. It's fun. I highly recommend it. I didn't
especially
love
if you're an X-Men fan or
Yeah.
just a comic book fan, I mean, you're gonna enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
So
And then the very last thing that I'm gonna say is I am so happy that after we stop recording in a couple of minutes, I'm gonna be going into my living room and firing up Bill and Ted Face the Music. I definitely bought it. I was more than willing to spend the money on it. I'm really stoked and hyped about going in there and seeing where these characters from my childhood end up going. So that's what I'm getting ready to go do, and I'm really happy and excited about it. So
maybe we can talk about it next week on.
Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully you will have seen it by then, and it can be our what we watched this week next week. Well,
So,
we'll definitely be talking about Tenet next week, because that's getting watched in a few days. So we might have 2 really, hopefully, good movies to talk about on the What Was Watched This Week section next week. So thank you for joining me tonight, man. It was a blast going down Ben Affleck's career path, reliving some of those really good and really bad movies. Next week is our Kevin Smith episode. We will be joined by at least one person. Not 100% sure. I've reached out to a couple of people to be guests, so we'll see who ends up being our guest next week. But we're going to be talking about Kevin Smith movies. There's a poll up right now to vote for any of the Kevin Smith written and directed films that you like, and we will see what was most popular next week. So we will see you then.